Da, da, theme song, theme song. Da, 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 da. I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and we are A Thousand Eyes in One, the podcast.
Pew,
Back,
pew, pew.
back again with Wheel of Time, Season 2, Episode 3. To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram. And I just realized we haven't been saying the title names.
That's because I don't remember. What is this one called?
I don't know. That's what just made me realize it. Usually I write them down so that I remember to say them.
Yeah, me too. Oh, well, figure it out for yourself.
We'll get it together for episode 4.
Maybe. No promises.
Nah, I'll have it together. I'll
It's
I'll
on the
figure it out.
thumbnail. Read it there.
Yeah. It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, exactly.
I was really looking forward to this episode after finding out that Nynaeve was going to do her accepted trial, because this
Mm-hmm.
part I do remember from the books. And so I was really, really excited to see the arch and see how the trial plays out. I can't remember. I mean, the trials, I think, were not exact. I don't know how exact they were to the books, because I just don't remember.
Yeah.
I
Did
only remembered one of them, the one where she goes back to the two rivers.
did it live up to your expectations?
Yes.
That's good and awesome to know.
Yes. I mean, again, I don't remember how, I haven't read it in so long that I don't remember them, but
Right.
um knowing that they happen, and I remember how it was described, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was just really looking forward to seeing the trials. So the trial, it's going to the arch 3 different times. The
Mm-hmm.
way back will come but once.
At once. I love that. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, obviously it's a try. I mean, they did say that people don't come back.
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous about that. And, it's not like a person didn't come back, like many people have not returned. So, I'm thinking, I keep making references to other fantasy because I don't have, I don't have the book knowledge for this one, but it's like Goblet of Fire to me, like
Mm,
there are all these tests and trials and most people don't die, but it is possible.
yeah.
Um,
Again, why
so
Hogwarts
yeah,
should lose its accreditation, but whatever.
yeah. Apparently, I mean, can you imagine? What the hell? What's the Russian-esque one called? That house, that school. Like, I feel
Oh,
like people die there all the time. Yeah,
something
yeah. Where Victor Krum is from.
with his
Yeah,
fine ass.
with his fine ass. I bet people die at that school all the time. It just seems like it's just so harsh. But yeah, so I was excited to see like what lies in store for an Aes Sedai in training. What does it take to have her become accepted? It's gonna be really hard. Um, so yeah, I was excited to see what would happen.
And they say you face your greatest fears, right?
Mhm.
And Nynaeve comes off as someone who's not really afraid of anything. At
Yeah,
least she
I just
acts like it.
vomited internally thinking about my greatest fears coming true on the other side of that orange.
Like, the thing is, all
Yeah.
right, if I went through and saw spiders,
Hmm.
I would literally run back through the arch so fast that I would leave a trail of fire.
Hmm.
So they couldn't
Like, where's
use,
the way? Where's the way?
yeah,
Come back.
they couldn't use that one for me
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be tempted to stay in any way. So when
No.
they say greatest fears, I feel like in Nynaeve's case, leaving people behind,
Hmm. Yeah.
it would have
Yeah.
to be something like that where like I really want to stay and the temptation is there. So
Yeah.
they couldn't use spiders against me.
Yeah.
It would
That
have to
would be
be
like
something
that's
with
the
my
first thing I
kids.
thought. It's like building sized tarantulas, like my recurring nightmares from when I was a kid. It's just
Yeah.
traumatizing.
It would have to be
Um,
something with my kids
I wonder what
and
it would
like
be for me.
protecting them. I think that's probably like my worst fear now is like not being able to protect
Mm,
them.
yeah, yeah. I could see that. I don't know what mine would be. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to think about this.
Yeah. Something to think about.
Yeah.
Tell us what did you face in the arches?
I guess losing all my family at once would be terrible. I mean, it would be terrible. Not, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
It would be terrible. Um, I don't know. Hmm.
My
Gonna have to
grandma
do
had
soul
a
searching for that.
my grandma had a fear of that and wouldn't let us all fly on the same flight.
Hmm. Like the Royals.
Hmm. Like
Yeah.
we had a huge family reunion and we had to stagger our flights because she was like, absolutely not. We're not all going on the same flight. And
Yeah.
so we staggered flights and flew in small groups.
Yeah. Were any groups like put together that they're like, oh, they're the Expendables?
Not
They're
that.
like, throw those cousins on that plane. Throw that uncle
Well,
in there too.
I flew alone, so now you got me wondering.
Yeah, let us know your worst fears and what they would have been. Yeah, it was, I forgot because I only rewatched the last three episodes. So I didn't go back to the very beginning and I forgot what had happened with Nynaeve. Um,
Wait,
which
you only
also
watched the last.
three episodes of the first season.
Oh, okay.
Right. And now that I'm saying that, it reminds me of Westworld, where what's her name kept having that, thing with her daughter, like that memory of her and her daughter um being real and then being slaughtered by those men. So yeah. Yeah, I forgot that that was the thing that had happened to her.
Well, Nynaeve's first trial, step one, was I wrote down child Nye because I call her Nye in my notes. I'm not writing Nynaeve over and over again.
Yeah, that's long.
Yeah. Child Nye, her family is attacked. Her parents are murdered in front of her, and she wants to go help her mom.
Yeah.
But the
And she
gate,
can't.
but the arch
Helplessness.
comes.
Hmm.
Do you
I
think
felt
that's
like
how
she
her
accepted
parents?
that one really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and with that one, do you think, you know what? It seems like they got harder and harder, right?
Hmm.
Because the first one, it's like she wanted to help her parents, but she knows she's a kid and there's not really anything she can do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's accepting the feeling of helplessness in some events. And accepting the feelings of helplessness, but also recognizing sacrifice,
Mm,
right? Like what her parents would have died for nothing if she'd gone up there and they killed her too.
right.
Yeah.
The second
And that's a lesson she
trial,
has to learn.
mhm. The second entry is the plague in the two rivers.
Mm-hmm. Bruce
This I
Bolton.
vaguely remembered. Yeah, Roose Bolton is sick in bed. This I vaguely remembered not as a plague, but as her returning to the two rivers and things being really bad. Like that's pretty much all I
Hmm.
remembered. And then, her feeling like she failed her people. Um,
Yeah.
and then this one, it's interesting because we learned that we're told that they can't channel in the arches. And she tries
Right.
to channel to heal Tam. And it looks
Hmm.
so sad. He's looking at her like, okay, jazz
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you know, a mixture of like, I knew I was gonna die, but like here you are giving me like a little twinkle of false hope, and it didn't work. Like,
I
I'd rather you would have done nothing.
I mean, I feel like he didn't have false hope. Like I feel like I keep saying I feel like to me
You
it
think he felt
seemed
sorry for her?
yes, to me it seemed he
Hmm.
felt sorry for her because here she
Yeah.
is waving her jazz hands around and nothing's happening. He has no idea what she's trying to do and
Spirit
it's yeah, like she's
fingers.
doing spirit fingers over his chest and he knows how badly she wants to help, but he's already
Hmm.
dying. He's already drank that uh something another root. I forgot what it was called.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And in this case, it's him asking her to stay with him until he dies.
Right.
And then the arches come. and he's
Yeah.
begging her to come back. That
Whew,
seemed
so
really
hard.
hard.
That did. It's like there's a for me thinking about it, there's like a mixture of things that are going on, right? Because she hates to be pitied and he's there pitying her, right?
Hmm.
And then this is another situation in which she just has to accept that loss is coming. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what she does, like there is going to be loss, and she has to accept that she can't keep everybody alive. Um, yeah, and I guess that's a recurring theme of all her visions, right? It's like you can't save everybody, no matter how much you try, no matter how much you want to. People, they just die. It happens.
And that feeling that she abandoned the two rivers,
Yeah.
which is her whole thing, has been wanting to protect the two rivers and the two people from the two rivers that, are out with her,
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to. You can't be in both places at once.
Nope. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Now, this third trial, the trickaroo, um, let's talk about that first part, that like nightmare. That was kind of freaky, right?
I forgot about the nightmare. What happened? I just like
She's
see Lan.
it's just like, so at first I thought she was hooded and being dragged somewhere because everything
Mm-hmm.
was like muffled and flickering. And then you see her in like darkness in a red dress. It looks like she's falling.
Right. Right.
And, you hear the voices, and she comes out and she's covered in blood, gripping Lan's headband.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, that was
And
terrible.
she's like, "What did I do in there?" And nobody's telling her
Bloody
anything.
headband.
And they're
Yeah.
like, "It's not your blood. Like, you're fine. It's not your blood."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she freaks out. They tell her, if you leave, you can't come back. She storms out the door. And I was like, okay, I don't think there's a way around the whole if you leave, you can't come back.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? And then you see her packing to go. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then she leaves and she sees Lan on the road, which lines up with how the story was moving.
Right. You're like, okay. Well, I guess they would have met up if, he'd gone his own way and maybe come back from her. Because um didn't Maureen say that she liked Nynaeve for her? Did I make that up for him? Did I make that up?
I can't remember. But
Mm,
Alana had told him that she'd be going through the arches. So it made
yeah.
sense that he'd be rushing back and run into her
Right.
after she had
Right.
done her
Right.
trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you see the arch and realize she is still in the arch.
Mm-hmm. And I like where she like they are hugging and it's like she's like hugging him and she feels all relieved and then she hears like the whisper because
Mhm.
it like sort of appears and she's like, oh,
The
I
way
thought I
back
heard
will come
something
but once.
and it wasn't really. I was like, oh shit. Oh, okay. She's choosing to stay here. All right.
So
I'm
this
not mad.
part was so okay. So this part of it, I don't remember how it went in the books. I feel
Mm,
like this is not how it went though. But I don't remember. So I'm not going to say either or, because, people get really angry when you misremember things from the books and they leave mean comments.
they can suck
Anywho,
my.
balls. She chooses life with Lan, ignores the arch, which is only supposed to come once. She has this beautiful life with Lan. Now, the women on the outside, Leandrin was genuinely upset. Leandrin was genuinely upset at her not
Oh
coming
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust Leandrin, so I was always like, what is she playing at? What is she playing at? But
Mm-hmm.
she really was upset. She's the last one to stay there waiting for her, and then she throws that pitcher of water that they douse her with and wash her sins clean with.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't. I mean, I was surprised by how upset she was.
Me
I knew
too.
that the other ladies were just like, oh, well, she made a choice. Happens, whatever. Don't know what she saw in there, but it must have been
Well, the
better.
mistress of novices was upset because she
Yes.
was like, Alana said she wasn't ready, and you pushed it, and now
Why
she's
do you
gone.
think why do you think she allowed that to happen?
The mistress of novices.
Hmm. I mean, like if everybody's telling her that they don't think that she's ready, why do you think that she allowed Leandrin to push her that far to let her do it?
That's a good question that I don't have the answer to. Why did she go along with it? Why didn't
Yeah,
she stand her
especially when she
ground?
was like, because as far as we know, like all the things that Leandrin was doing to kind of like provoke the power out of Nynaeve was on the low, you
Right.
know? So how did she like that? Maybe that's like a plot piece that I'm missing. So how did she get everyone to come on board? Like, were there secret meetings? Did they know that she was going to do that? Um, were they just,
Well, they did say they
so
held a vote.
eager?
They did say they
Yeah.
held a vote. But again, why would they be willing to let a girl who can't even channel intentionally
Hmm.
become an accepted just because she's powerful if she can't
Yeah.
control it? She shouldn't
Yes.
be an accepted.
No.
Like if she gets to be an accepted, then Egwene should be an accepted.
Hmm. That's what I'm thinking. I was gonna say something else about that. Yeah, because I was really surprised that they had her come do that because of the way that she comes to Nynaeve's room in the episode. She's like, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, the wheel's already in motion. I can't do anything to stop it. Like, let's go."
Well,
I
she
was
at that
like,
point it's because Nynaeve had seen her with her son,
mm-hmm.
and she's like, she wishes she could take it back. She's pissed at Nynaeve.
Exactly. But it's too late, baby.
Too
It's
late,
too
already set in
late.
motion. So fuck it, we ride.
Mhm.
The arch leaves. She's stuck. Leandrin throws the pitcher, and then we get the credits. I thought like that part was so intense. The opening was so intense with the trial that like
Hmm.
when she threw the pitcher, I thought that was the end of the episode. I didn't
Dude,
realize how much
that's
time had passed.
yeah, and I think that's why when we were talking last time, I was like, wait a second, didn't that happen in the same episode? Oh, yeah, it's because they did the the false ending. The
Yeah,
false like they did that thing, in Game of Thrones where they show all this action and then you're like, and then it goes black and then it's a title theme. Um, yeah, it
I
fooled me.
no, the because I really had no sense of time watching
Hmm.
that, and I think that was really well done.
Yeah, I think I paused it and I was like, oh, there's all this, like the progress bar is like
Yeah,
so long after this.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
hilarious.
We get back to the. Do you want to keep talking about the trial? Or you want to get into it later?
Let's
Because
get into it later.
okay, let's talk
Yeah,
about
we'll talk
this.
about the M. Night Shyamalan-esque of it.
Yeah, so we have the Sean the Seanchan. They're in this village and they have that channeler with the gold mouth thing pacifier.
Grills.
Yeah. Uh, and it looks like they're looking for women who can channel, right? Because they're only picking out
Hmm.
girls and they have the channeler like scoping them out.
Yeah,
And
she's
we
got
know
her
that
channel
women who can
meter.
channel can sense it and others.
Hmm.
How did they have so many in that one little village? You would
Don't
have
know.
thought that would be a place that Moiraine would have visited to look for the
Hmm.
dragon just because there's so many in one village.
Yeah, I forgot where that village was. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that too. I was like, well, wait a second. Why did she pause up in the two rivers then? Because if all these girls are, maybe they're just not as powerful as
That's
them,
true.
Maybe she came and was like, they weren't really a blip on the meter. She's like, okay, yeah, those girls can channel, but there's nothing like extraordinary about them.
Hmm.
They're just regular girls. They'll be like healers or whatever. Yeah, but there were a lot of them, and it makes you wonder in other villages, like how many women can channel in general, like in the
Like,
population, like
I thought
is it
it would
like
have been like,
50%? Is it like 25%?
I would have thought it would have been like one every few villages.
Mm. It makes me wonder, like, because as far as we know, it's not hereditary, right? It's
We don't
channeling
know.
passed down line by line. Oh, okay.
We don't know.
Hmm.
I remember seeing somewhere, I'm trying to remember if it was something I read in the books or if somebody was talking about it. I kind of feel like it was somebody's theory that the reason why there aren't as many people, this goes to your question about whether or not it's hereditary,
Hmm.
that the reason why the tower isn't getting as many girls is because they've culled the men who can channel.
Oh,
But I can't remember where I read
interesting.
that. I don't remember where I read that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But that
So
would be
maybe it
really
might be.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, in some countries where they were doing that thing, just like killing the girl babies, and now there's like a shortage of women for men to marry.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah, should have
So,
left us alone.
mhm. Now look at you. You could have sat
Now
there
look
and
at
ate your
you.
food.
Or your women.
Now you gotta. So childish.
Yeah, oh well.
Now, with the Sanchin, I remember this storyline very clearly.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to tell you anything, but I want you to tell me what you think about it.
Wait, what?
The Sanchin picking these girls and, all that stuff.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I feel like if they've got Ishmael on board, that they must be looking for people, you know, to join their girls crew, and maybe they'll be indoctrinated, or maybe they'll just be held as hostage so the other people go along with what they're doing. But I
Mm,
feel like if you're grabbing that many channelers, there's going to be a purpose for them, and why not teach them? Um, yeah, a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, like you kidnapped me, you killed my family, but you're teaching me how to do this thing and also keeping me alive. So there's this weird sense of like attachment and gratitude.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I was sad to see what's his name go.
Uno,
Yeah,
you know
like
what
what
I
a
wrote down?
terrible way to die.
You know what I wrote in my notes? Uno refuses the oath, gets a mouthful.
It's like big, small John Umber.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, same
I,
vibes.
yeah. And I liked Uno's little ornery self.
Me too. He was reminding me of that Viking guy that's hot in that Viking show.
Oh,
I don't remember which one.
Luff
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah, 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 yeah. Him.
Yeah.
Her. Um,
He
yeah,
was
but
just
yeah, you just like see everybody refusing, and they don't really know what's going to happen, And up until that point, I hadn't noticed that that thing had the spike on it. Um,
Oh, I
so
saw
that
it.
was a shock.
I saw
I
it
didn't
and I
peep
and I
that.
thought to myself, what is that? Because they weren't pulling it by that. It was just at the front.
Mm-mm.
And then when they brought him up to it, I was like, oh no. And I thought they were gonna put
Yeah,
it through his other eye.
yeah.
And I was just waiting for it to go through his other eye. And I have a
I thought they were gonna
problem
put
with
it through
eye
his
stuff.
throat. Yeah.
I have a problem with eye stuff. And I closed my eyes so that I wouldn't see where they put it. And then when I opened my eyes, it wasn't that scene wasn't that part wasn't done. And I saw his mouth just split all the way up the cheeks.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, it's
It,
horrible. I
I mean,
watched it
what?
the second time. It was
Hmm.
gruesome.
Yeah, it really was. Um, it reminds me of some of like the Assyrian ways of torture. Read on that if you'd like to know. They were terrible, and I love it. They were so creative. I know I'm a terrible person, um, but I just it's a way to like quickly bring people into line. Like, yeah, we snatched your girls, um, but this is what's going to happen to the people who don't listen.
Right.
And would you
You're
rather
gonna
die?
yeah, you're gonna do the oath or we're gonna do it for you. And by do it for you, we
Yeah,
mean we're gonna force you to your knees and bang a spike through your throat
yeah.
or through your mouth and out of the back of your head.
I hope that's like instant and no suffering. I hope the
Well,
only suffering is like the anxiety leading up to the fact that's going to happen.
Uno didn't seem anxious at all. He looked ready to die.
Hmm.
And his Shineran brother was like, our, what did he say? Our pride is not worth more than our lives
Yeah.
because Perrin was still standing.
Hmm.
And then we see Ishamael's interest in Perrin.
Yeah.
Now,
He
Perrin
senses
can't
something in
channel.
him.
Perrin can't channel. So you kind of have to wonder why Ishamael is interested in him. Obviously, he knows that he can do something.
He can do something. It's funny because I'm thinking like everybody who has a little like not everybody. People who have I want to say like extra amount of power seem to be able to pick up on him right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Moraine didn't, but it's just like these like the Wolfman obviously did, and Ishmael obviously did. It actually makes me wonder how strong Moraine really is. Now I think about it, but or was, or will be again. We don't know.
Hopefully.
um, yeah, I I'm interested in the people who can recognize the power. Like we say that the people who can channel can see it in other people, but like I don't know, is their aura just so strong that people of power can see that? I feel like I'm rambling, but like I want to know. It's the exciting thing for me about the show is that I haven't read the books, right? It's like kind of when I started Game of Thrones, so everything is really new. Um, Now, my mom actually listened to every single audiobook, by the way.
Yeah, you
Um,
told me. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not doing the audiobooks. I'm actually just checking them out from the library and reading them. So it's
yeah,
taking me a lot longer to get through them because I'm reading other things too, obviously.
yeah.
I'm on
Um,
like the sixth book, I think.
yeah, I should start. Yeah. I'm not willing to commit to another series at this time. Um,
I always call
not
this,
one
I
that's
think
longer
I'm,
than 4 or 5 books.
yeah, this is like 14 books. And I always refer to it as my broken leg read. I think I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that last season. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, my leg is broken and I really can't do anything because I live in New York.
Yeah.
So I really can't go anywhere. And so I'm just, laying down all day. What am I going to do? I'll finally sit down and read all of Wheel of Time.
Right. Uh,
But I couldn't wait to
yeah.
break my leg. So I started it. I don't really want to break my leg.
No, sounds extremely painful.
I guess this could have been my pregnancy read at the end when I was just like
Mm,
too big to move.
yeah,
Hmm.
but it would have had to be the first pregnancy, not the second one.
Yeah, because we had book club by then.
Yeah. Well, and you had a kid already.
Well, yeah, that too. They kind of mess with your time a little
Yeah,
bit.
just a little bit.
Smidge.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what continues to happen with them because like they come in with this army, quote unquote army. They're so powerful, like nobody can stand against them. Um, and yeah, Perrin wants to do something, but what is he gonna do except die? He
Right.
can't even control his wolf powers. He doesn't know how to access them. He doesn't know how it works. He just knows that when he's in extreme danger himself, that these things come out.
Right.
That's it.
What's interesting about how powerful this army is that the Shinerans were putting the beating on them in that small group. And I think had they
Mm-hmm.
not been outnumbered, the Shinerans would have cut right through them. But then they bring out their channelers.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder what their army is like before they had channelers. Like, are they really that powerful if they got their asses handed to them so easily by a small group of men? Because it was really
Mm.
outnumbering them and having channelers that turned the
Yeah.
tide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they weren't against an army. It was just like a group, just a small group. It was just a few men.
Yeah. Scouting crew.
Yeah. Two of whom weren't even soldiers. And Elias was nowhere to be seen.
Mm-mm. He's like, this is not my fight.
He didn't even sleep in the village, remember?
Mm-mm. He probably smelled them coming.
And he's like, I'm getting the fuck up out of here. But I mean, he doesn't sleep in inns anyway. He said he
Hmm.
prefers to sleep under the stars. At this point, he is
Yeah.
like just a wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm cool with that.
Rand back at the asylum with Logain is where we end up
Dun, dun,
next.
dun.
And
Ugh,
this
I love all
confirmed
of this.
something for me from last
Yeah.
season
Mm-hmm.
when Logain immediately is like, I know why you're here because I recognize you from Tarvalon when they paraded me through the streets. And he saw how
Yep.
powerful he was and had to laugh. Because remember, we weren't sure if he
Mm-hmm.
really was laughing or if Rand or Matt were imagining it.
Right. We know that that they saw each other. We knew that there was a moment that passed between them, but we did not know, was he just laughing and being mad, or was there something else going on? So
See,
yeah, I
I had
remember that when
I
he
had
said it.
thought that possibly Rand imagined it, him
Hmm.
laughing, because we didn't know by then that Rand could channel.
No, I don't think
Um,
so.
I
We just knew he
knew,
was really strong.
right? I knew because obviously because of the books. So I
Hmm.
thought maybe it was like a sign that Rand is getting that hint of madness, seeing him laughing like that. And then I thought maybe it was Matt because Matt's sitting right next to him. So I thought maybe this was Matt's point of view, and he sees
Mm,
him cackling madly because of his attachment to the dagger, that maybe
Right.
he was like,
Right.
you know,
He's
seeing
able to see
things.
that. Right.
But now we know he actually was just laughing his ass off with his face through the bars and then immediately leaned back and was chill again, which,
Hmm.
wow, dude, you're crazy.
Yeah. He was like, oh shit, I thought I was strong. He's in their city.
Right. And they don't even know.
They don't even
They're
know.
parading me through the streets while this guy's sitting in a window and like you have
Yeah.
no idea what he can do. And
Yeah.
he has no idea what he can do.
Yeah. Which goes to say for like powerful channelers recognizing the power in other people
Mhm.
because yeah. Yeah.
You know, you had asked if how strong is Moraine if she couldn't see it in
Hmm.
Perrin, but I think she saw something in Perrin. Otherwise, she wouldn't have brought him.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know that she said at first that she didn't know which one it was. There's something special about
Right.
all
She
of these
didn't know which one
people.
was the dragon, but she knew that
Yeah,
they could all
do
channel
something.
or
Hmm.
do something. She knew they were all ta'veren
Hmm.
because Matt can't channel.
Yeah.
But did she know that Rand could channel? She knew Egwene could for sure. So I think she knew that I mean, not Matt, I'm sorry, Rand could channel.
Hmm. Or had channel potential. I was gonna say that if you have been exposed to men who could channel before and been able to like still or gentle them, then you probably are able to see that, right? You're taught to recognize, the glint in their aura or whatever it is that signifies that they can do these things
The other
or
thing is
indicates
that
rather.
um they're all coming of age,
Hmm.
except for Nynaeve, who's a little bit older than the group. So back to the Sanjin, the girls that they took, those girls hadn't come of age most likely, why Moraine didn't bother because
Oh,
they
that's a
weren't
good
the right
point.
age.
Yeah. Right, 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 right. Yeah, no, that makes sense because they all were kind of young.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, parents seem significantly older than them. Mhm. I enjoy parent Rand's interactions with Logain a lot.
It's like he thought he was so smart, sneaking in there, beating up the attendant,
Hmm.
and thinking he's just gonna like now weasel his way into Logain's life. And Logain's like, ugh, I seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just say what you gotta say.
Yeah, like why are we wasting each other's time? I mean, on the other hand, it is Rand's first intrigue.
Yeah, he is just a humble shepherd.
Yeah, so funny. We're gonna talk about his boo thing, his what'd you call it? His hobosexual mate.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Do you know what I heard the other day? Shout out to Mitra who told me she said something and she was like a glucose guardian. And I was like, what is a glucose guardian?
Sugar
And I was,
daddy.
yes. She's like, it doesn't, mama, sugar daddy, whatever. She's like, yeah. So yeah, she's his glucose guardian.
So yeah,
Glucose guardian it
glucose
is.
guardian. I'm into it.
Yeah. I laughed so hard when she said that.
I'm into it. I'll bang my tiny gavel. It is law.
These words have been accepted.
Sanderson reference.
He's like, I need to get this wine. It's so fancy and expensive. And she was like,
Geldin in
oh,
red.
God, we got to take your ass shopping.
Yeah. Like, were you suspicious of her?
I am still suspicious of her. I really am. I don't know what she's up to, Like obviously she has the wiles to like infiltrate the court, right? And this is the first time that we see like when we saw the daughter heir, we had a hint of the riches that are actually possible in this realm. But now we're seeing like decadence on decadence. And
Right. We
we're
haven't
so
seen
fucking
that
rich.
yet.
We haven't seen it because we've all been, from the perspective of the peasants or like, the kind of austerity and or I guess like the austere grandeur of the Aes Sedai, but we have not seen like what it's like to truly be a baller.
Hmm.
So I am suspicious of her. Like, how are you getting in and out of these courts? Like, reminds me a little bit of the White Worm, you know, like how she seems to, maybe she's a whisperer for someone else, and that's why she's got access. Um, yeah, no, she makes my uh, radar go up.
It seemed like a lot to
And
do
it
to
also
grab
made me
a
wonder if she's a dark friend.
good point. It it seemed like so much work to go through to steal a bottle of wine.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you playing at introducing me to nobles? And well, not I guess she didn't introduce him. They introduced themselves.
Mm-hmm. Because he's a good-looking young man that they've never seen before in the court.
Right. They
And
think he's an outland lord.
mm-hmm.
He learns we didn't talk about the great hunt for the Horn of Valere.
Oh yeah, right. Forgot about that. That's a major plot point.
Yeah. Do you remember what happened to the horn last season?
Yeah, I remember Pat and Fane took it.
Yes, they dug it
Yeah.
up in what was it? Where are they again?
Electric
Faldara.
City.
They dug it up in electricity. They dug it up in Faldara, and Pat and Fane took it. And we
Yeah.
know now, well, we know that the horn, allegedly, if you blow the horn, you can raise an army of the dead, of like the past heroes to fight on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't this a trope that we see over and over again?
um,
Yeah.
they tell Rand, well, this lady, powdered wig, tells Rand that she doesn't even know if the horn is real, that it's just a way to purge the foregate.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
we
was
know,
horrified.
right?
I was like, this is Hunger Games. What are you guys doing?
Yeah. But we know that the horn is real. So now the question is, we know it's a real thing. Does it really work as the way they
Mm-hmm.
say it works? Because we know there is a real horn.
Right.
And if dark friends are that interested in it, that they'll attack a city and dig through concrete to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the Faldaran soldiers kind of dug through the concrete for them because they were trying to move it. But
Yeah.
it obviously is real. Otherwise, why would they be so interested in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Why would they go through the trouble? Um, yeah, and the way that just remembering the way that he just walked away with it.
Yeah, he just like swaggered
Uh,
away.
he's like the guy in the group project who did nothing and then walks away with an A.
With his
Just like, what the
little
fuck?
curly wig. I just want to slap him.
Me too.
I want to slap him so bad.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, no. So it's interesting to hear that they don't believe, it reminds me of like people at King's Landing, like, Grumpkins and Snarks. And
Hmm.
yeah, they're so far removed from what's actually going on. And it seemed like these people, like, I guess they feel they're untouchable because I'm sure they're getting reports of Trolloc attacks and these things, but these things seem so far removed for them that
That they don't even have to
is it
worry
really
about it.
true? Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering if we get to see any more of that happening, like any
Of
more interactions with the
lords and
court.
ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the court. I think we will.
I hope so. Like, why introduce us to these people?
I don't know if we'll see those specific ladies, but I think we'll definitely see more of the court.
I guess especially because we have Elaine.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that makes sense.
Egwene learns that Nynaeve is dead. And she goes to her room and it's being packed up.
Hmm.
And I felt really bad for her, even though I was like, nah, she's not dead.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't believe it either. I was like, she's gonna find a way to come back. Like even when like, yeah, I because I know that people like I didn't know that the test wasn't over, but I figure like even if it's like a year from now, she's gonna find a way to come back because
Mhm.
she's that powerful. Like she's gonna force the doors open from the other side or something.
Right.
But I did. Her heart was so broken. Like this is a second. Oh, we're gonna talk about that little snake. This is the second friend that she's lost.
Hmm.
And this is someone who was so close to her. And what guilt you must feel knowing that she didn't really want to be there, but she was there for you.
Right.
And then you must feel rotten about being jealous and all these other things because now she's gone. Um, and you don't know that she heard you talking, well, airing her grievances about you before she left, but you've got to feel terrible. Yeah, poor girl. And this is desperation that she feels like going to try to bring her back. Um, and shout out to Elaine. Like I didn't, you don't, I feel like many times that we are primed to, I guess, primed to dislike characters of noble blood,
Hmm.
like we're often portrayed like the people in the court, right? Like playing silly games and being super superficial and
Right. They're
stuff. But
having luxurious parties while people are
yeah,
starving below them.
yeah, exactly. And Elaine doesn't give that at all. It seems like she's very aware of her station and her level of privilege, but she's also very, very grounded in reality.
She also, as would befit the daughter heir, she says what she wants to say. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like she's very
Hmm.
blunt with Egwene,
Yeah.
and she's very level-headed.
Yes. Yes.
And I like that about her.
Hmm.
So, like when
And that's a
Egwene,
nice change for her, right? Because the only other person who's been telling her, like Moraine kind of does that, but she's like also keeping secrets and they know it.
mhm,
And
Nynaeve's a
Nynaeve is always
hothead.
trying to like hothead, but also like, like really explosive in her temper, but also just like always trying to sugarcoat and, create a buffer around the truth to protect her.
Hmm.
I'm weaving with my hands. You can't see it, but I'm trying to channel the words for this. Um, yeah, she's always trying to protect her. So the fact that Elaine is just giving it to her straight, I really appreciate
And not in
because
a mean way.
that's how
She's
she
not being
is.
cruel. She's not
She's
being
not being
cruel.
cruel. She's not being cruel, but it reminds me very much of the way that Egwene tells people and how she treats people. Like she keeps it real too.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, if it's the truth for her. Um, yeah, but it's still sad to see her go through it.
When she's trying to bring Nynaeve back by activating the arch, all I kept thinking was like, you can't possibly think. I mean, I know it was desperation,
Yeah,
but I'm like,
yeah,
it took the keeper, the mistress of novices, and an Aes Sedai who's like 110 years old
yeah,
to open that gate. And you thought your little novice ass, who's been channeling for 8 months, was just,
barely.
but I mean, they keep telling her how powerful she is, right?
Mm-hmm,
Like, I'm
mm-hmm,
sorry, girl, you are not that powerful. I
mm-mm.
don't even know if, well, Nynaeve could possibly be that powerful, you
That's what
know.
I wondered. And that's because they've said that. That's why I was like, well, maybe she's gonna bring it open from the other side and be the first person to ever like walk back. Maybe she'll find a way. Maybe she'll find an artifact that kind of mirrors what they have there.
But
Something.
but they say she's the strongest channeler they've seen in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So maybe, but the breaking was 3,000 years ago, so we don't know of anyone ever coming back through the arches. But it
Mm,
makes me wonder who was stronger, who was that strong 1,000 years ago, or are they just throwing that number out just to make say like a really long time? Because I would have thought you haven't seen channelers that strong in 3,000 years
mm-hmm.
before the breaking. Before, because they have this ter'angreal that they don't even actually know how it works, they just know what it does.
Right.
And they mention all of the ones they've that women have burned out using, accidentally killed themselves. you know they have so many of them that they have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what they're for because of
Right.
the breaking and all of the knowledge that they lost, and it's been
Mm-hmm.
3,000 years and they haven't learned everything back. So think of how powerful they must have been 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue to talk about Elaine and Egwene. That little camp out by the arch is when I was like, okay, this is what we're
Yeah.
gonna get Nynaeve back. There,
Yeah. It
I
was so
didn't,
cute.
yeah, I didn't know obviously how they were gonna get her back, but
Mm-hmm.
it was, they're camping out by the arch. I figured that wasn't gonna be in vain, like, because
Yeah.
we never
How many
believed
days
that
they're gonna
Nynaeve,
let them hang out there,
right? And I never, they have work to do. They have floors to mop, and I
Yeah.
never believed that Nynaeve was really dead, obviously.
Right.
So they camp out by the arch. And we get back to seeing what Nynaeve's been up to. Apparently, she's been in there for years. She's had a
Banging the
daughter,
land.
banging fine ass land. She has a beautiful daughter. She was so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Matt is some kind of lord or wealthy man.
Mm-hmm.
Perrin is back being a happy blacksmith, and everything is just so perfect. Egwene
Yeah.
has joined the Greens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't know what's
Yeah.
happened to anyone else, but everything's
Yeah.
just perfect and happy and
Exactly.
wonderful. And then they get attacked by Trollocs,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone she loves gets murdered before her eyes
Again.
again. This time worse because it's the people that she's best friends with.
Mm-hmm. And has been trying so hard to protect.
And she tries to escape with her daughter because the way back came twice. What did you
Mm-hmm.
think about that?
Um, well, then I knew that I was like, oh, okay, she's gonna run through. I had like a little bit of hope that she'd come through with the daughter, but I didn't. I knew that that wouldn't really actually be
Yeah.
possible because it's not real. Um, but oh, how gut-wrenching
Mhm.
to come through holding a ghost.
Air. I didn't realize, well, I knew the way, like something had to happen for her to get back.
Right, right.
But it raises questions about what they know about the arch because the way back is
Mm-hmm.
only supposed to come once, and for her it came
Right.
twice. So is it
Yep.
like if you wait long enough, it'll come back, or is it because she was able to channel? Because you're not supposed to be able to channel in the arch either, and she did
Right.
channel in the arch.
Mm-hmm.
So is it her
It makes me
channeling
wonder
that
about
like
the people
reactivated from her
who went
side?
through, because like if she's the, like we were just talking about, if she's the most powerful channeler they've seen in 1,000 years, then other people just weren't strong enough to be able to do that. But it makes me like, yeah, I guess I wonder like why the way came back twice for her. Maybe it is because she was able to channel, but it makes me wonder, did other people have that opportunity and just be like, yeah, no, I'm chilling, I'm good. I don't want to go back to like, you know, toilets and shit.
Well, accepted wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So like what could be offered to you in the arch that's gonna be better than knowing you're coming out to be a partial sister,
I can think of a few things.
like marrying Lan?
Well, sure. Yeah, no, keep
But
it to
it
myself.
destroys everything you've learned about the
Yeah.
arch.
Hmm.
The way back came twice.
Yeah, and didn't
She's
they say
able to
they don't
channel.
know? Did they say they don't know where the arches came from?
Right, because that's been lost. That knowledge has been
Yeah.
lost in the
And it
break-in.
reminds, like, it makes me wonder if it is something like the ways, right? Where you
Mm.
can try to, like, a speed highway, like the bullet train between different places and realms or whatever. Uh,
But it takes you to a different reality.
yeah, it's like the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, is this like multiverse Nynaeve?
Did she really come back? Was it a different Nynaeve that came
and
through?
and why is it that her injuries are real but nothing else is?
Hmm.
Because that means you can get killed in the arch. Maybe that's what happened to the other sisters who didn't
Yeah,
come back. Maybe they were killed.
yeah. Maybe they were killed because they weren't able to like let the shit, alone and recognize what the
Right,
lesson was. That's really possible.
right. Like for instance, with her first trial, maybe some people went back to help their parents and got killed
Hmm.
inside the arch.
Hmm.
So maybe that's why they don't come back. Something gets them killed. I mean, the ones who would
Trying to,
have been powerful enough.
yeah. Trying to remember. It's like I guess the only thing that's coming to mind is like Freddy Krueger 3 or Freddy Krueger period where you get hurt in the other reality of like your dream
Uh-huh.
world. But that's not the thing I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of something else and I can't remember. So what else? What other places, where other stories can you get hurt in the ultimate realm, in an alternate universe and come back bearing those wounds?
I don't know. Freddy Krueger, because you said it, is the only thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote on all caps just trauma because that's the end of the episode. I mean, we have other things we didn't talk about, but that's how the
Yeah.
episode ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's like her trauma. Now, again, I'm a mom. And so the idea Her daughter must have been what, like 4?
Mm,
The idea of giving birth, raising your daughter, having all of this happen, and then coming out of the arch and it's all gone. I
mm-hmm.
can't imagine the devastation because for her, her child has died.
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
real child has died
Mm-hmm.
because it actually felt like years for her. It's like the quantum realm. She was in the quantum
Yes.
realm, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this time has passed for her as years. And well, this is the opposite because the quantum realm it feels like hours. But anyway, this time has
Mm-hmm.
passed for her as actual years of her life. She physically experienced pregnancy. She gave birth. She, probably breastfed and has raised this little girl. And so the loss is real.
Mm-hmm. Then I think that is the ultimate test, right? Like we know that it's like we were saying, there's an escalation of loss that happens of her greatest fears. And what
Mm-hmm.
is more scary than like having this life that you've built up and just having it snatched away from you and there's nothing you could do about it. And then trying to protect the one who means the most to you, flesh of your flesh, and then
Mm-hmm.
having her literally just like evaporate out of your arms and there be no trace of her. Um,
It's like WandaVision.
it's like the blip, yeah, like WandaVision, like the blip, like the people are having these babies and living these other lives, and suddenly it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember that show, The Leftovers?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
remember the
Oh,
the woman who during her ultrasound is when the things disappear and like suddenly the baby's not on
mm-hmm.
screen anymore?
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of part of what I thought of. One of the things I thought of rather. Yeah, Nynaeve is experiencing very real trauma. Like she's hurt. She's down horrendous. And I really feel bad for her. Um, it's like she's been tortured. And that explains
Mm-hmm.
why women don't talk about what happened what they've seen in the arch. It makes me also wonder what did like Moiraine see when she passed through? What did Leandrin see? You know, what did the
Yeah.
Amyrlin see?
Do you think Leandrin saw her son?
Hmm, maybe something bad happening to him and her being unable to save him,
Yeah. Or the sisters finding him?
or the sisters finding him, the Reds, which would, I would imagine would add to why she's kept him hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd love to know. I mean, maybe there's some fan fiction out there about what other sisters' trials were like. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that would be cool. If you write such fan fiction, drop it in our comments. I would love to read it. Even though I can never get around to reading fan fiction.
Yeah, I like never do, but I'm interested in it. I'd like somebody to
Yeah.
tell me about it. Like read it to me. Will you
Right?
read it to me, Nikki?
Yeah. I can
I'll
read
just
it to
lay
you.
down and you'll just
That'll
read it
be
to
the
me.
only way that it happens for both of us.
That'd
I'll read it to you and then we'll both experience it.
be wonderful.
Are we going to talk about Rand's dick game?
Oh, actually, I wanted to get back to Leandrin before we talk about Rand's Dick Game, but we can talk about Rand's Dick Game first because I feel like Leandrin's going to take me a while.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Land. I mean, Rand and his glucose guardian. Freaky
Mm-hmm.
ass Celine.
Oh, yeah.
More reason to not
Yeah.
trust her. As
That she's freaky?
no, that as they're getting
Okay.
their freak on, she's talking about show me
Yeah,
because
yeah, 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 yeah,
she knows
yeah,
he can channel. So how does
yeah.
she know he
Mm-hmm.
can channel, right?
Maybe she can channel too.
Perhaps. Quizás.
Or maybe she's been
Quizás.
told because she's a dark friend. Maybe she's supposed to be keeping an eye out for him. Because
I'll
um
never tell.
because Logain is like, hey, listen, I know you shaved your head and stuff.
Right. I
but
can see right at your
roots
roots.
are, yeah, right. And he's not because everybody else is, as we can see in this episode, everybody else plays the game better than he does, right? He's a novice to this. Um, and yeah, I think they had a sense of it. So I guess she either has been told by someone who's been asked who, maybe knows he's still around and not dead, or well, because Ishmael would know that he's not dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would lead me to believe that she is a dark friend, but also, get that glow dick while you can. I
Glow
would.
dick. I'm into that. Now, Rand burns down the inn. So, further proof that Rand has absolutely no control and really does need Logain's help, because he just wakes up and he opens his hands and suddenly he's burning up the ceiling because he really has no control. And it seems like he's using the most dangerous parts of the power.
Yeah.
And last season, we're told that, I think it was last season or it was in the books. Now I can't remember. But we're told that a woman can't teach a man how to channel because the way they channel is completely different.
Right, right, right.
So he needs a
I
man
don't
who can.
I'm trying to remember if they mentioned that or not. But I feel like that sounds familiar to me.
Okay. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
can't remember if it was last season or if I read it. But yeah, women, the
Mhm.
way men and with the way women channel are completely different. So Moiraine can't teach Red how to control it. She simply doesn't channel the same way. And now that they've been culling all of the men who can channel, there's no one to teach him. So there's no real plan in place for what happens when the Dragon Reborn does return. So he
Right.
needs someone like Logain.
And
And
Logain knows
one
it.
of the things that Varen had said last episode was the sisters are trying to find the Dragon Reborn and clip his wings. But what if we need him for the last battle?
Right.
Because they're worried that he might turn to the dark side. But what if he
But he might
doesn't?
not.
Right. There's a chance he
Hmm.
might not, but they're so afraid of the chance that he will that they just want to end it all. But it's like that could go really bad for you.
Yeah. It's like, why not like why not find him? Go definitely go on the mission to find him, but then, monitor him and keep him safe and see like, and if he does start to turn to the dark side, then do what you got to do. But I think that
Or send someone like
they're
Celine to
blinded
mold him.
Oh, yeah. My mind just went all the way in the gutter for molding him. Yeah, it's podcasting while ovulating. It's a whole thing. Um, Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, and to keep an eye on him, it reminds me of like Good Omens where they're looking for the Antichrist, right? And they're like, okay,
Hmm.
we're both trying to influence him for the good and the bad. Like, why not try to be a force for good and find this person and change the entire world's perception of how you deal with men?
Right.
Because, as Logain
Also,
said, they're tired of you and your bullshit.
they don't know which man is going to be the dragon. And because the prophecies have been translated so many times, who knows what's correct at this point?
Hmm.
Although the most recent prophecy happened while Moraine was alive and she witnessed it. So that one she could go off of.
Right.
And they also don't know how mad this person might go.
Yeah.
So it's like
But I
there's
feel like
pros and
keep him around
cons.
and then yeah, I feel like you keep him in the tower or wherever, or like, make an asylum like the one that Rand is
But they
working
have
at
to gentle
for
them because they're
these
so
people.
powerful.
Hmm.
It's a
I guess there is no
conundrum.
solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, damn. Well,
What do you
damn.
do? Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Hmm.
So I do want to talk about Leandrin, but I want to talk about Ishamael and Perrin, that whole
Mm,
interaction.
yeah.
So
Your
Ishamael is
wheelhouse.
very interested in Perrin, and he tells him that he's to be brought to the Seanchan as an honored guest, except that that's not an offer you actually want to take, right? So
Right,
one,
right.
what the hell do the Seanchan have for him? Why is he riding? He's in shackles, but he's riding with Ishamael.
Hmm.
not with the other
Mm-hmm.
prisoners. Um, I think in the book, I can't remember if they mention it in the show, but I think in the book they say that people associate that type of power that Perrin has, like being able to have, that wolf life. I don't know what to call it.
Mm-hmm.
The wolf powers are associated with dark friends. People don't believe that that's a good
Mm.
thing. They believe that that's evil, which is part of why he keeps it hidden and why Elias avoids
Right.
the public.
Yeah, I could see how easily that could be construed that way.
And
Um,
Ishamael says to him, the more wolf you are, the more you're mine.
right.
And we don't know if Ishamael is playing mind games or if that's actually
I
true.
think so. Um, well, it seems like I don't know what Elias's motivations are, but obviously he wants Perrin to realize that there's this whole other life and maybe wants him on his team too, or to,
Mm-hmm.
just at the very least find his own pack. But we don't know at this point whether he's trying to save him for selfish reasons too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think he's a dark friend. He doesn't give
He
me
doesn't
dark
seem
friend
like
vibes. I would
it.
be really surprised. I'd be really surprised.
He
Um,
doesn't seem like it, and he was helping the Shinerans track down dark friends. And
yeah. And
the
so,
wolves help to save Perrin. I mean, the children are not dark friends, but they're obviously not good. And the wolves saved him from them. But then it's like, did the
yeah.
wolves just specifically want to save Perrin? Did they even care about Egwene?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that they saved Egwene because she
She
happened
was
to
with
be there and he
Perrin.
was obviously protecting her, right?
And we know
Um,
that the wolves guided him out of
mhm,
whatever forest they were in, guided them towards the Tinkers back in season one.
right. Hmm.
And in this season, Elias says that he's been sending them messages this whole time
Right, right.
without realizing it.
Echolocation.
Well, it's like the little visions, right? I don't know why I called them
Hmm.
little, but it's the visions. Why are they little?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right, Ishmael. Like it's from what we're seeing, they're just gathering anybody who's got power to them, big or small, for this army that they're trying to trying to raise. Uh,
One of the things I enjoyed about the exchange between Ishamael and Perrin is that really faintly in the background you hear howling. And then the howling slowly
yeah.
builds and gets louder and louder until you
Hmm.
finally really notice it. Because you start to hear it,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh shit, wolves are coming. But when I went back and watched again, I realized
Right.
how early it started because it starts off so quietly. And then of course the wolves attack, and including Elias, who comes in with blood all over his face. So he's biting out throats too. He's terrifying. Doesn't he have like
Yeah.
human teeth? Are his teeth filed? Did he get wolf incisors? Like what happened?
I don't know. I'm wondering if there's some sort of transformation that happens beyond the eyes.
Mhm. Well, when
I think there must be.
Perrin asked him, is he gonna, because he's a wolf brother, and he asked if the other wolves were wolf brothers and will he transform? And Elias is like, don't be stupid.
Right. Mm. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he's like, don't be foolish. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. But I mean, these are valid questions when you know nothing.
So now in the future, we need to figure out how what this means for Perrin, these wolf powers now, because now he's with Elias and presumably somewhat safe, but they do need still to free Loyal and the Shinerans. So that's something to look forward to coming later, a bit more action.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
I want to talk more about Leandrin, her response to Nynaeve. It left her shaken. And as a result, she
Hmm.
frees Matt. And it once again, she's like, I'm tired of, she says that she could have spent the time she spent questioning Matt and holding him and, quote, keeping Moraine's little secret. She
Hmm.
could have spent that time training Nynaeve. And because she spent that time on Matt, she's lost Nynaeve.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she can't lie. So like she means this shit. She's really
Yeah.
pissed about it. And it begs the question again, why did Moiraine want Matt there? Was it just as a distraction or was there something she actually
Mm-hmm.
wanted? Because she sent him to the Reds on purpose. So
Right.
I'm still kind of leaning distraction. Um, her scene with Egwene, I, I had it actually had me laughing because she goes and she puts Nynaeve's ring in. She's really mourning Nynaeve.
Yeah, she really is. I didn't expect her to feel as deep that loss as deeply as she did.
Me neither. Me neither. Um, but she is, and she drops the ring in, and she's really mourning. And Egwene shows up, and Egwene's little challenge where she throws the flame and Leandrin just like scoops it up and tosses it aside, basically.
How cute.
And she's like, "You have no idea what I'm capable of." I'm like, "Little girl, please
Yeah.
relax." She could
Yeah.
rip you in half
Like,
without thinking about it twice.
yeah. I was like, well, I'm glad that you have so much confidence in your future abilities, girl, but like, come on. Don't you know
Please,
who she is?
like, please chill. Please chill. If Leandrin wanted to like just literally tear her body in half, she could have done it already.
Yeah, and toss
And
you in the
Egwene
flames.
yeah, and Egwene would have had no idea how to protect her. She doesn't know how to shield her. There's so many
I don't
things she
think she'd
doesn't know
even
how to
realize
do.
that it happened.
Yeah, that too. That too.
She'd just be gone.
I mean, look how powerful Nynaeve is and how quickly Leandrin
Hmm.
was able to shield her
Yeah,
because the power isn't enough if you don't have any of the knowledge that goes with it.
right, right.
So I needed her to fucking relax
Yeah.
before she got her ass beat and got embarrassed. I did. I was surprised to see that Min was
You,
working. Hmm?
I just want to say, so I've just read the quote where she's talking about Matt, and she called him a coward who mistakes his own moral failings for cunning and wit.
I loved that
Hmm.
because
And then
it's
when she tells him, she's like, they didn't leave you. You left them. I know what really happened.
mm-hmm. And he
Hmm.
feels shitty about it. And yet, when he sees Egwene crying he sees Egwene crying in the garden, does he go to comfort her? No.
No, he doesn't because he's scared and he's got like no backbone. And in that moment, it's just like, not that I was really growing to like him because I'm always going to be suspicious of him, but it
Mm-hmm.
sucks being held captive against your will, even though this is your own fault. But it made me despise him in a different way because I was like, you were so weak that you were worried in this moment of grief where you guys have both lost somebody who was dear to you, that she's going to blame you for leaving them, right? You're worried about her, about how you going to her is going to make you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is despicable. Moral failings. You're so
Well,
concerned and so self-centered about, you're so self-centered that you can't think of how she can't. You're prioritizing how you might feel about it and your own guilt, um, and lack of accountability instead of, sharing and grieving your friend together, which would have
right.
been better for everybody. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna hurt, but yeah.
Being able to share that grief helps to make it a little bit lighter, which we know all too well, given our last 18
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So he sneaks out with Min, which I was like, okay, Min's got her way out. She wasted no time sneaking out. And then only to
Mm-hmm.
find out Min has been working with Leandrin this whole time. And I was like, what the fuck?
That was super shocking. Like, when she said she was gonna be right back, I thought she was really gonna be right back to, like,
Me too. She tricked me.
to grab whatever it was that she was getting. Yeah, I was super surprised. And I'm like, I'm happy about it. Actually, because his story gets more interesting now.
Right. What does Leandrin want with Matt? Why did she set him free? Where is he? Where does she expect him to go? I mean, Min is bringing him somewhere. Where does she want Min to bring him? It just raised all these questions.
Hmm.
So we don't know why Min is working with Leandrin.
Nope.
we
But
know
there's
she's
definitely
not
something
like
in it for her, right?
right, because
We
we know
know that
that
she's an opportunist.
she's an opportunist, and she wasn't like Moraine's pet. She was very
Mm-mm.
reluctant to work with Moiraine. She seems kind of
Hmm.
wary of Aes Sedai,
Yeah.
yet she's working with
No, when you
Liandrin.
have the power that she has, it's like maybe, I mean, if you have the power to see people's futures, like there's obviously something in it for her that she's seen in Leandrin, whether or not, like we were talking about last time, what she sees actually,
Or
the
is it what could
truth.
be?
Yeah, the possibility.
So now we need to know why exactly she's working with Liandrin, and what does Liandrin want with Mat? Because he's not attached to the dagger anymore. He's not in touch with the others, so it's not like she believes Mat could lead her to Rand, because he has no idea where they went off to. So what does she
Yeah.
want with Mat?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I like at this point, where would he go? Is he gonna go home? Is he gonna go try to find the other? It's like where I don't, or does she want to keep an eye on him to see if he eventually is able to channel? Like, you know, um, I don't know. I don't know. Because, Min seems like she has a destination in mind. Like she just wants to get the fuck out, but she seems like she's not the kind of person to just like leave it to chance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Mat is, not a planner. He's a hanger on. He's a follower.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna go. So I'm wondering, the opposite of that is where is Min taking him on Liandrin's, orders or suggestion? Maybe that's
Well,
the question.
I suppose we'll get more information in episode 4. That's it for this episode. To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram. I've been Tanya.
And I'm always Nikki.
See you later.
See you next time.